TeraFlex's Alpha HD spare tire mount delete kit for the JL Wrangler allows you to remove the spare tire and cleanly replace the tire mount. It houses the backup camera and the third brake light while also providing a mount for the license plate and accompanying light. Begin the installation process by removing the spare tire. This video shows the removal of the factory tire mount, but this process should be more or less the same for all aftermarket tire mounts as well. To access the connections for the third brake light, remove the screws on the upper section of the tire mount. Pry the back of it away and remove the screws holding the third brake light to the tire mount. Disconnect the plug for the brake light. Disconnect the wire from the back of the upper section. The back can now be removed. You may need to open the tailgate to do so. Remove the camera housing screws. Tap the mounting studs free with a hammer. This will loosen the camera housing from the tire mount. You can now remove the bolts holding the tire mount to the tailgate. Support the tire mount before removing the final bolt or it will fall. Detach the wires from the tire mount. Separate the camera housing from the tire mount and set the mount aside. Remove the tiny screws holding the camera to the housing. Disconnect the camera plug from the camera. Remove the camera wire from the housing. The TeraFlex Alpha spare tire delete has a spot for the license plate light. To access that, we need to remove the bumper. Start the process by removing the lower fender liners located behind the rear tires. Remove the bumper brackets. Disconnect the bumper wiring harness located behind the rear driver's side tire. Remove the remaining bolts holding the bumper to the vehicle. We show the plastic bumper here. Please note that the steel bumper has nuts instead of bolts in this location, and there are also 2 extra bolts located on the bottom of the bumper that will need to be removed. The bumper should now be able to be taken off the vehicle. Disconnect the license plate light. Remove the light from the bumper. Connect the wire extension to the spare tire light wire harness. The extension uses OEM-style waterproof connections to ensure there are no electrical issues. Reinstall the bumper. Run the extension over to the right side of the vehicle. Make sure you secure the wire harness to the frame so that it will not hang down below the bumper. Inside the cargo area, remove the cover for the passenger side tail light anchor. Loosen the bolt holding the tail light in place. Make sure you support the tail light as you do, otherwise it will fall. Disconnect the tail light and set it out of the way. Remove the plastic and carpeted floor panels. Remove the passenger side interior side panel. Models with a subwoofer need to remove a bolt on the top corner of the panel closest to the front. Lift the boot up and cut a slit into it big enough to let the wire harness extension go through it. Run the wire harness up behind where the brake light goes and through the boot. replace the boot. Reinstall the passenger brake light. You can do it now or at the end when you're finishing up everything else. Remove the tailgate panel. Some of the plastic retainers might stay in the door. Reattach them to the panel before reinstalling it later. Route the license plate harness extension to the tailgate following the existing wire harness for the camera and center brake light. You can feed the wire through the mesh sleeve so that it does not get pinched in the door. Shove the rubber plug holding the brake light and camera wires into the door and feed the wires back into the tailgate. Run both wire harnesses through the vent. If you want to trim the flap so it stays closed, you can, but it's not required. Take the third brake light and trim the alignment tabs flush. Then slide the light into the spare tire delete panel and attach it using the factory screws. Install the camera onto the bracket using the provided tiny screws and tool. Wranglers made after 2020 sometimes come with a second type of backup camera. This camera type uses the included adapter, which is installed using the tiny screws. The camera then pops into the adapter. Make sure the camera is oriented correctly. It should match the same way as we show here. Attach the license plate light onto the bracket reusing the factory nuts. It will look like the threads are too far away from the bracket, but these nuts are self-tapping, so just keep tightening. Be careful not to over-tighten as the studs are plastic. Attach the bracket to the spare tire delete panel using the provided hardware. Attach the license plate using the provided screws. Connect the third brake light, camera, and license plate light wire harnesses to their respective sockets. Install the spare tire delete panel onto the tailgate using 4 of the factory bolts. Remove the rubber bumpers and install the provided rubber plugs. Reinstall the passenger brake light and interior panels. If there is anything on the bumper you need to reconnect, then do so before driving the vehicle.